This is a Bergen Film Club podcast.
I love that I get an option to just leave the meeting. Like, no, no, thank you.
I will not be recorded without a lawyer present.
Like an old movie removed from the frame, I am floating and looking for someone to blame. Won't you project me on the walls of your heart? I'm waiting for the real thing to start.
Hello, and welcome to The Real Thing. I'm your host, Joe Lawrence, and once again, just diving straight in, I'm joined by Real Thing BFK alumni, Caroline Tranberg.
Hello.
Hello, back again.
Back at it again.
You were just here
With,
last week.
yeah,
Mm,
here I am with another gay film.
yeah. Oh, damn.
Yeah. Mm.
The gay agenda is being
Oh,
pushed.
it is.
So this podcast is an extension of Bergen Film Club, of which we are both board members, and it serves as an extension of the program that BFK cultivates for everyone every semester. So we're going to be exploring exciting themes and all the cool things about all these amazing films that we've chosen this semester. We have a very exciting film this time. Well, every time it's exciting, but this one is particularly exciting because it's the oldest film that we've ever done on the podcast. We're going 104 years into the past.
Gold.
Yeah. But before we dive in, I wanted to start in the way that we always start with some recommendations.
Let's go.
Yeah. Uh, what do I have to recommend? I watched E.T. There we go. Yeah. I watched E.T. Because it was my birthday recently.
Happy birthday.
And thank you. My sister bought me a bucket list movie poster, the thing where you like scratch them off.
Oh, those are fun.
Yeah. And it's funny because I feel like to the average film dude, they've
Hmm.
probably seen all of these films, and I have seen probably about like 5% of this entire thing because I never watched the Kino boy films. I've never seen Fight Club,
Me
for
neither.
example. And I wanted it to stay that way, but I guess I won't. Um, but one of the 6 Steven Spielberg films on this poster is E.T. And it
Yeah.
just happened to be on the television the other day, and I watched it with my sister and my mum, and it's great. I hadn't seen it in so long, but yeah, Steven Spielberg really was that girl in the 80s and 90s. That film is so good. I was like sobbing at the end.
That's sweet.
Yeah.
I haven't seen it in like forever. I can only remember the wrinkly finger. That is the only recollection I have of E.T.
E.T. is so freaking cute.
He is.
He is. And Drew Barrymore is so cute in the film. It's like just really great child acting. So it's like clear that Steven Spielberg really has like a handle on making kids act well and choosing good kids. Which, because like children in films can make it really painful sometimes.
Yeah.
Um, but no, I watched E.T. and it was fantastic. So I guess that's my film recommendation is E.T. Yeah.
If you haven't seen it.
If I watch it again, I mean,
Yeah.
probably haven't seen it in over 10 years. Ding, ding, ding. I remember I'm watching Ugly Betty.
Fun.
And yeah, it is. I love like the kind of Americanized telenovela
Hmm.
because it is, I just think it's great television. It's so camp and so stupid. It's so funny. And I just love that it's like really not trying to take itself seriously at all.
Hmm.
And but in that way, it becomes like really, really enjoyable to watch and so heartwarming. You just fall in love with all the characters, even the horrible ones. Like people die, people get shot.
Yeah.
Uh, yeah, like. I think the only other kind of Americanized telenovela that I've seen is Jane the Virgin, and I loved that
I
so
haven't seen
much.
it. I've
Oh
only
my
seen like
God.
clips of like this one dude dying of a heart attack, and I was like, well, what's happening here? Or like some
Yeah,
heart failure. It's like,
it's just huge drama and really heartwarming. It's so fucking good. And American Ferrera, star of the new Barbie movie, is obviously Betty,
yeah.
Ugly Betty herself. And she is so fantastic. It's just such a great show. And it's like kind of dated.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, there are some jokes in there that maybe I'm like, hmm, maybe that's not cool. But for example, one of the characters in the later part of season one is transgender,
Mm-hmm.
which is kind of like slay in the sense that like by and large she just exists as a transgender woman, which
Yeah.
is kind of cool. But then there were also a lot of jokes made at her expense.
Exactly. Yeah, that's kind of there's a
Yeah,
fine line here.
but uh, yeah, put me on a cross. I laugh at them sometimes. I'm sorry, but
How dare you?
damn it. But I think that's it for me. Do you have any good recommendations?
I have been working so much, I haven't really had time to watch a lot of films. But I did watch this really cool, like 7 minute short horror film on YouTube.
Mm.
It is called Portrait of God. I
Ooh, I wanted to
19%
see this.
sure. It is freaky.
Ooh.
It's like an art student. I think she is an art student. She's also a Christian, and then she like has a presentation about
Boo.
ew. Anyway, she has a presentation about this picture called Portrait of God. And it's
Okay.
like some people see something while other people it's like it's entirely black and can't see anything. And she sees like entirely black, she can't see anything, and then suddenly she does. And it's
Ooh.
just this very disturbing and eerie, like it's so good. And it's one of those there isn't really any jump scares in it. It's just so
Creepy.
the tension is
Yeah.
so good. Yeah.
Ooh. Yeah,
So
right. It's on my YouTube watch list. I can't
yeah,
wait.
really good.
Mm.
My Letterboxd review was like, if this is how God looks like, maybe hell ain't that bad. Because oh yeah, I also read a book. Whoa, my
What?
God,
They still have those?
they do. It's called A Certain Hunger.
Mm-hmm.
I don't remember the author right now, but it's really cool. It's like about a food critic, and we kind of read things from her, like telling about her life or her adult life. And I was like, oh, she's just going to be a little bit crazy, a little bit like, not like psychotic, but kind of psychotic. And then suddenly it's like, and then I ate his liver. It's like, oh, nice,
Oh,
cool.
damn, that's cool.
That's where we're going. But yeah, it was really good and
Yeah.
disturbing. Mostly
What,
good.
what was that called?
A Certain Hunger.
Awesome. I'll have to check
Hmm.
that out.
Yeah.
I'm famously currently reading the Twilight series.
Oh, I love
Yeah.
it.
For the first time.
Amazing.
Yeah, I'm just finishing New Moon. Uh, but I love it, honestly. I think it's like so much better than I expected. I thought it was gonna be trash.
Yeah, no, it's pretty decent. I remember reading them as a teenager.
Yeah.
I like them.
Well, as
Well,
a 25-year-old adult, I can say that they hold up.
they probably do.
Now, why don't we talk about this film that you chose for the program?
I did.
Would you care to introduce it?
I can try.
Yes.
So, um, different from the others is a queer film from 1919, which is insane.
Hmm.
And in the film, we meet this very famous musician who eventually takes in a student. A little bit scandalous potential age gap, I'm not gonna lie.
Mm.
But yeah, he falls in love with the student who is a man, if you didn't understand that.
What?
My God. And the student falls in love with him and they have a relationship. But they get caught, and the musician keeps getting blackmailed. And eventually he is caught for being gay and sent to prison for being gay.
Hmm.
And the film kind of ends on a note to remove what is paragraph 175, which is the paragraph in Germany that made it illegal to be gay. So that's kind of like they wanted for people to be able to be gay. Yeah.
Yeah.
And that is kind of the plot of the film. It's not like a huge, very difficult plot, but the history behind the film is kind of what drew me to watching it and wanting to show it at BFCon because it's
Hmm.
such an interesting history. One being that it's a queer film from 1919,
Yeah.
which is, yeah, that is just huge in my opinion, and just a story that we will never be able to watch the whole film because the Nazis found it and didn't like it, so they burnt most of the reels. So, but someone has been able to kind of put together what was left and restore it and made it like watchable and understandable, which I think is really cool.
Yeah. I think I read that they had screened it somewhere else. They done like a special screening around the time, and then that's the reel that they used to reconstruct as much of the film as they could. But yeah, it's
So
just like I had never heard of this before. I was wondering where you heard about it. Is it just being in the queer atmosphere, you hear these things?
no, a mutual of mine on Tumblr
Oh my
shared
God.
a gift set,
Hmm. Okay.
which it was random, but at least I found it.
Yeah, in like 2015? Or are you still an
No,
active Tumblr user?
I am a Tumblr girl.
Okay, interesting. Learning new things
I
about Carolina.
love Tumblr.
Yeah, I see that for you.
You? But yeah, no, I found it on Tumblr and then I read more about it and I was like, oh, this is interesting.
Mm,
But never thought I would be able to watch it until I found a link somewhere online. And now we have the rights to show it in the cinema.
yeah, it's good. It's so exciting and cool to be able to do that and give like honor to this really amazing piece of film.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, you sort of went through the plot and synopsis there, but there are some really like when you read some of the quotes and like obviously the theme is very kind of forward thinking for the time, but some of the
Oh, yeah.
quotes of the film are like so powerful and it discusses things like spoilers, suicide
Hmm.
and like not committing suicide, like really it's just like really powerful stuff on some of the clips that I've seen. It's kind of for so many reasons insane that it was made in 1919.
Yeah.
Yeah. Especially I kind of like contextualize it a little bit. So this was post World War One Germany, where everything sucked. Big bad time for all of the Germans. They were being sued like mad by all of the other nations following like the Treaty of Versailles, I think. So it just was a bad time to be in Germany. They were suffering with like a lot of food shortages of everything, and there was like famously hyperinflation, saying it was like hundreds of pounds to buy a piece of bread.
That's
A
insane.
lot of a lot of political strife. It was like the
Hmm.
Weimar Republic. No one really liked them. Um, but uniquely, which is super interesting at that time, there was no explicit law limiting what could be shown in cinema, which is like how this film was able to even be allowed to be made,
Hmm.
which is crazy. We have so many
Yeah.
censorship laws. And Weimar Republic Germany was like, yeah, no, we don't have to deal with that until this film came out. And they were like, no, 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 no.
Mm-mm. Not
Actually,
the gay agenda here.
no. Yeah, so it's just very I just like learning all about it and stuff that I was reading, it being like the first pro gay in the gay film in the world. It's just it's crazy. And yeah,
It's pretty
I'm
cool.
excited to
Yeah.
see. Yeah. Um, so this film was directed by Richard Oswald, who was a Austrian filmmaker, I
Mhm.
believe, uh, and was living in Germany at this time. I think he also made an adaptation of Per Gynt.
Yeah,
Yep,
that's
probably
how
said
you
that
say
really
it. I don't
badly.
know about the adaptation, but
Yeah, he made it also in
yeah.
1919.
Yeah.
Um, there wasn't like so much information really available about this guy, which was kind of a shame. But I know that he was strict, and which is kind of also cool that he would risk his kind of reputation in a way to be kind of the figurehead of this film in a way.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's
Um,
pretty ballsy at that time to just, yeah.
but he made between 1914 and 1949, he made about like 100 films or more than that as a director or as a writer, which is very many films. And he was making films. He was Jewish, so
Hmm.
he was exiled during World War II. Luckily, didn't get killed. And he was still making films through this period. Very dedicated guy, I guess.
I want to say slave, but it feels so wrong to say it now. But
It does feel Slay. I was going to talk about Slay later. Actually, that's one of my points. Is that we can talk about
nice,
Slay later.
cool.
Yeah. Um. Yeah, but the guy who I kind of wanted to focus on is kind of like big part of the film because obviously the production of the film is so like the lead up to it being made. There wasn't like a huge amount of information about like the actual kind of pre-production. I know that they wrote it together, so he's called Magnus Hirschfeld,
Mhm.
and he was the writer of the film alongside Richard Oswald, the director. But from all I understood, they just kind of it was Richard Oswald's idea to make the film, and then he got Magnus to come write the film and work on it with him. But if I was Richard Oswald, I would also choose Magnus Hirschfeld because he is an absolute legend. I've so enjoyed learning about this man.
I'm so excited to hear about this.
So he was born in 1868 and he was a German physician, kind of like
Hmm.
fake doctor, and also extreme fake doctor because he was a sexologist, which just meant that he like yeah, studied the sexual nature of humans.
Good for him.
Yeah. Uh he was like very well educated. He studied like philosophy, philology, and medicine. And he was also his entire life, he was really an outspoken advocate for all sexual minorities. Um, he was part of one of the first committees to carry out advocacy for homosexual and transgender rights in the beginning of the 20th century. Like, there's a thing that I'll like later in his life, basically, he, as a doctor, would write transgender men and women kind of like fake ID, not fake, but like not accepted ID cards that
Hmm.
they could pass off to say that they were the gender that they identified of.
That is very cool.
Yeah,
Wow.
in 1920.
Damn.
Yeah, like changing people's birth certificates and stuff so they could live as how they wanted to. But he was a gay man and was very openly gay, actually. He was like not trying to hide it at all. And funnily enough, people didn't seem too mad about it, which I thought was pretty interesting. Like kind of in the academic circles, people weren't so
Hmm.
mad. It was only time that he was like involved with politics and stuff. He um then people were mad, obviously. Um, but he kind of began his career mainly as a sexologist. And I guess he did some shady stuff. Everyone did shady stuff in the 20th century. Essentially, he studied sexuality in human zoos.
In what?
Human zoos?
Oh,
Yeah. So essentially, it was taking people from Germany's colonies and putting them into zoos. And then he studied their sexual habits.
interesting.
But if we can just, that's obviously very terrible. Um, but he was like, okay, so people are gay in New Guinea. People are gay in Germany.
Hmm.
Maybe being gay is normal and
Oh.
not some sort of like perversion. He was like, um, there's this really gross thing that he did about lesbianism, basically, and I'm sure you can try and figure out what this is. Basically comparing lesbianism between German women and African women, and just being like, there's no physiological difference in these women, and they are still lesbian. So basically, a lot of his studies
Mhm.
were about saying that being gay is just as normal as being straight in a way,
Interesting.
which yeah, which is super legendary. He
Yeah.
was also part of a league for the protection of mothers because he said that he understood that the plight of women was very similar to the plight of queer people,
Hmm.
both that they are marginalized and looked down upon, unfortunately. So he was like fighting for all of this his entire life, and yeah, it just like the whole his whole life just really fighting for and totally unafraid of any consequence, just like fighting for the gay agenda his entire life, and then being involved in this film as well. He yeah just wanted to kind of push his agenda even further through his writing of the film because I understood that he wrote like a lot of the screenplay, so a lot of the like really beautiful lines from this film, and especially this because he focused a lot on suicide in his work as well. So kind of
Hmm.
discussing that he even noticed in the beginning of the 20th century that gay men and gay women are far more likely to commit suicide, for example, and
Hmm.
he that was a trend that he noticed 100 more than 100 years ago. Um, but he didn't do like so many films. I think he wrote some books and
Hmm.
then he went to America and he was straight for a little bit.
Oh,
And then he was exiled during World War II. And then he just went and vibed in France with his partner, who he was with for like 40 years.
that is nice. It's
Yeah.
it's so nice to hear about this like very openly queer people from so long ago because
Hmm.
it feels so it's just insane. That's all I can describe it as. It's like you're yeah,
Yeah.
it takes a lot to just come out today and say you are queer and all that kind of stuff. And
Hmm.
it's a lot more accepted now than like over 100 years ago. You still
When it
do
was
that.
illegal.
Yeah,
Yeah.
literally illegal, and you are
Yeah.
still openly gay. That is very cool to hear
Hmm.
about.
But for like for the because I guess this film didn't reach huge crowds, I suppose. But from what I understood, a lot of people in Germany and also Ukraine and other kind of nearby countries.
Hmm.
Um, I don't know geography. Please don't ask me. Um, they did see it, and like just how this is what we were going to come to talk about is like how amazing and powerful queer stories in media can be
Hmm.
in helping people sort of identify and see themselves and help them realize who they are. And like
Yeah,
that it all I guess all began with this film.
it it did.
Yeah. So if you're comfortable talking about own personal experiences and getting vulnerable on the podcast,
But but I'm not, but let's go.
let's go. Let's get uncomfortable.
Ah, wonderful.
I was gonna say, like, from my perspective, like queer media was like the thing that made me kind of like basically realize that I was
Hmm.
gay because I fully had no clue when I was a kid. I was just vibing. I knew this is fun. I knew that I didn't like kissing my girlfriend. I knew that it felt wrong. And but I was just like, well, everyone hates kissing, surely. Um, but I had no idea. Like I was just hanging out. I was just being a kid. And then as I got a bit older, I guess then I stopped having girlfriends, obviously.
Hmm.
Um, but I had no gay friends. I would say that not the school environment that I grew up in was very homophobic. So I was like, you know, people kids be horrible. Kids are nasty,
Oh
disgusting,
yeah.
dirty, mean, lecherous. So no one can be kind of it felt like there was no queer space. And I had one friend who came out and then he immediately left school because everyone was so mean to him.
Awful.
Um but yeah, it was like the environment that I was in was so suppressive. Like I said, I didn't have any gay friends. I didn't know any gay people.
Hmm.
Um, so it's kind of like wasn't really on my mind. But then now we can get into the super embarrassing realization moment that I had and the importance of
Yes.
queer media in my life. I I got an iPad for my birthday when I
Oh.
was like 16, and I was like, hell yeah, now I can watch whatever I want without my parents like watching over my shoulder. And the first thing that I started to watch because I had like a goal to make myself not as afraid of horror because I was so scared when I was a kid, like terrified. And I would watch American Horror Story and I would like pause it and take a lap of my room because I was like, okay, I need to decompress from what I just watched.
Really?
Yeah, I thought it was so scary. Yeah. Anywho, then enters the storyline of the main girl character and Taissa Farmiga and Evan Peters' character and their storyline. And it wasn't really that season one. I was kind of watching their dynamic and I was like,
Hmm.
yeah, Tate did kill all those people, but I would forgive him. And I was like, why would I forgive him? Because he killed like 6 people in a school
I
shooting.
think
That's really bad.
he raped her mom's.
Yeah, exactly. But I was like, I could forgive him. I could change him.
I could
Um,
fix.
exactly. I could. But
Yeah.
then, finish season one, great show. I turn to season two,
Hmm.
episode one, and Evan Peters shows up as like a loving husband and he like looks super like built and
Yeah.
handsome. And I was like, okay, something mysterious is happening. I guess it's not necessarily queer, but like there is so like it is a really like kind of campy show in a way. And it's made by a gay man, Ryan Murphy, however much we have come to loathe him. He did make some pretty good gay shit.
Yeah, he did.
Yeah. But then after that I was like, oh, okay, so like gay is a thing. And then I kind of went into watching kind of gay films in a way
Hmm.
and kind of found that to be really formative and eventually led to me like feeling comfortable to just realize to myself that that was the case. So the film in particular that I know that I watched and I was like, yes, was The Way He Looks,
Yeah,
which
I love that film.
yeah, yeah,
It's it's so good.
yeah. So it's a story. It's a Brazilian film, coming of age kind of vibe of a blind high school student basically kind of building a relationship and falling in love with another student in his class. And it's just like so it's so like beautifully done, and I feel really like thankful and stuff that films like that can exist. Like something that,
Mhm.
and this is like kind of contradictory because I hate Heartstopper, but like that it can show
No, no. Oh, this is gonna be awful when I talk about some of my experiences.
that's fine. Yeah, we can talk about it. But like I felt glad that I could see something that I really saw in myself because like at 17, I'm not a particularly like promiscuous, outgoing, high camp, effeminate man. I'm just like vibing being 17. And it was like really beautiful to see this kind of like essentially exactly the same way that a straight movie would play out, but with gay
Hmm.
people. And I was like, oh, like that kind of love exists. And I've never seen that before. And it was really cool. And I watched then the LGBT section on Netflix became my best friend.
I love that.
Yeah. God's Own Country. That was another one. That's a really
Mhm.
good an English film that's set in Yorkshire about a depressed farmer who
Oh,
falls in love with another farmer.
amazing.
Yeah. Yeah, but I was wondering if you could talk about because I mean, obviously we've already spoken about American Horror Story, but I understand that was also maybe slightly formative for you as well. But I would be interested just to hear what kind of queer film and stuff that you felt resonated with you when you were growing up.
Yeah, it I think I kind of realized I wasn't straight, or what felt at the time I wasn't normal
Mm,
when I was like 11, 12 years old.
okay.
And it was weird. I can't really pinpoint why I felt that way, but it was just something wasn't completely right.
Mm,
It or not right, but it didn't feel like I was like everyone else when it came to falling in love with boys. I was boy crazy, and I still am boy crazy in a way. just just saying, but suddenly it was like, oh wait, girls are pretty cool as well.
mm,
And but yeah, I was kind of, and still am when I was younger. I loved to stay home and watch movies and TV shows.
slay.
And I watched American Horror Story,
Yeah.
like you.
Hmm.
I saw Sarah Paulson and I was like, oh, she is very pretty. I wish I was her. And it
Mm,
kind of starts like this, like, oh, I wish I was her. She's so gorgeous and
yeah.
pretty.
Hmm.
And then I kept watching American Horror Story, and then I discovered a different show, Teen Wolf. I love Teen Wolf.
Hmm.
And suddenly we are introduced to Styles, who is my favorite character ever. He's so funny and so cute. And I was like, oh, he is very cute. He was like my crush at the time. And then suddenly I realized like, wait, Lydia is also very pretty. And then suddenly I got this, wait, I don't know if I want to be Lydia and be with Styles, or if I want to be Styles and be with Lydia.
Oh,
So it was kind of like a very confusing, like, what is it that I'm feeling? And that's kind of when I noticed that there was girls in my school that I thought were pretty, and I liked to hug them and
hmm.
kind of be close to them. And then it was like, oh, I guess I'm bisexual. But it took
Yeah.
me a really long time to tell my parents.
Mm.
Like I told them last year.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. But yeah, I kind of told some of my friends in Bergen earlier and talked about it, but I was
Mm.
so scared to tell my family, like
Mm.
awfully scared.
Yeah.
Um, but I was still like enjoying queer media. I was talking about these really great queer films with my parents, but I never told them like I'm bi. I just couldn't do it. They got it, of course.
Yeah.
Yeah. But what kind of inspired me to come out to them was Heartstopper.
Okay.
But kind of the reason being was in season 1 of the show when Nick comes out as bisexual. I didn't know he was bisexual.
Hmm.
But there is a scene where he comes out and tells his mother, and I cried so hard
Yeah.
and just thought that first thing is like, where have this TV show been all my life? If I had that when I was 14,
Yeah.
I would have been so much more comfortable with myself. And I kind of envy these young queer people who can get these shows to kind of like, here is a cringy show. It's cringy. I admit that. But it's like it's queer. It is two men.
Yeah.
It's just, and one of them is bisexual, which I've been craving to see a bisexual character that is kind of a main character.
Yeah.
And that just, yeah, I cried and cried and cried and just felt like it's just kind of shows for me how important it is with queer media, because it kind of gets these emotions going, and
Definitely.
then feeling like, okay, I can tell my parents I can do it. I was kind of getting ready for it, and then I went to a Harry Styles concert
Slay.
and he surprised us with the what is like nicknamed the bisexual anthem of his. He wasn't going to sing
Medicine.
it, he just randomly did it.
Oh yeah.
What did he say?
Medicine.
Yes,
Yeah,
medicine.
yeah,
Yeah, and that just happened all of a sudden. I was like, if this is a sign,
yeah.
like
A
this must
bisexual
be a
sign.
sign. Yeah, this is the bisexual sign. And then a week
Mm.
later, I came out to my parents.
Wow.
But yeah, I definitely missed out on a lot of queer films. I watched some, but I still felt like I could relate, but not really, if that
Oh
makes
yeah,
sense.
okay.
Yeah.
hmm
Um,
That's kind of
but
that's kind of how I feel about Heartstopper because it's
yeah,
like I'm like that's such a beautiful story that you told. Like I'm so glad that you were able to watch that and feel that emotion and identify that and then move forward with your life. Like that's incredible and lovely. And I'm very happy for you and I love you.
thank you.
Um, um, but for me, it's like it feels unrealistic because it's set in England and English high schools are horrible. So I'm like, this will never happen. I'm sorry.
I mean, Charlie gets beat up, kind of.
Yeah, I think I'm just jaded. But I think that's the
I mean,
end of the story.
it's fair. I get the criticism of Heartstopper. I totally
Mm,
do. But I think it's just it's so nice to see this cringe show.
definitely.
And I've seen this story so many times, but with straight people.
Yeah.
And I'm finally getting like the gays in, the gay agenda,
Yeah,
and
definitely.
seeing queer people allowed to be in a cringe film, a
Yeah.
cringe romantic film, is so nice, and it's so important, I think, especially for younger people.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah,
Just yeah. Like just showing kind of real people be real.
yeah,
And it no like sort of I mean obviously there's sort of like coming out storylines, but it's also just kind of like, oh, this is why you need to watch Doctor Who. Like gay and queer people just like being gay and queer.
yeah,
Like, no, it's like there's a character in Doctor Who in the first two seasons who he just is bisexual and like it's like period at the end. They're like he's
yeah,
flirting with Billy Piper and then the rest of the episode he flirts with the doctor and then he goes back to flirting with Billy Piper. And it's just like no question asked. And I think that's like really important. Like
oh yeah,
also I guess a really specific kind of issue as well that like a lot of gay media is like we've just listed like personal kind of like the way he looks is like just a lovely like sure there's like
Mhm.
bullying and stuff but that's real but the love and the storyline is just like queer love period at the
Yeah,
end but a lot of gay stories are like and then he died very
yes,
horribly of AIDS over a 7 month period.
yeah, or
Yeah,
he left to be with a woman.
yeah, like And that is like that is definitely a narrative of a lot of not a lot, but like of some people. That's the story that they live, and I guess it's equally as important to kind of show the reality that some queer people face. But then again, I feel like it's like it doesn't all need to be terrible. Like that doesn't need to be the lens in which we see the queer scope because like I said, people be gay and people just exist and do things and go to the store.
Yeah,
And it's just the same as straight people,
yeah. It's
but
kind
better
of
because they're better.
oh, 100%.
Yeah.
I watched My First Summer last year, which is queer film as well, but lesbians, so two girls. Also a kind of coming of age, and it's just it's so nice and just sweet and everything, but at the same time it's kind of sad at the end. And I just want a lesbian film that's not sad at the end. It's
Yeah.
it's almost like difficult to find queer films that isn't sad in the end. And that's why I'm so thankful for things like Heartstopper as well, to be able to
Yeah.
be like, you can still have a happy ending if you're with the same sex partner, or
Mhm.
you can still be happy and not die a horrible death.
Yeah. Yeah. Boo.
Ooh.
Okay. I said that we could talk about Slay to kind of like wrap it up. Because I say Slay all the time, and it's apparently annoyed a few people before, and people misunderstand what I mean all the time. And it's very hard for me not to say it because I say it all the time. And I wish that I didn't, but I do. But it's
Same.
kind of, if you think about it, it's the legacy of different from the others that allows us to say Slay.
It, it truly is.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, that is, yeah, that's true.
Yeah. I just feel like, just to kind of sum that up ago, I guess, like, I guess I saw you saying like similar experience of not really having a lot of queer people around us and really finding that through media and stuff. But then as
Mhm.
I kind of like cultivated that interest in queer media and watching stuff, then I could kind of go outside myself, find other people who watched it. And now I feel like very proud to say that I'm gay and do gay shit. And I just like it just you feel like much more affirmed and comfortable in yourself once you've
Oh,
seen that kind of thing. For me, it was really RuPaul Drag Race that really like affirmed me as a gay person for some reason. I was just like, this is right.
this, this is it.
And Call Me by Your Name, we talked about that on last episode as well.
Yeah.
And this film as well, it's just like, even though it's very tragic and but it's like it's representative of the time.
Oh, yeah, it
Yeah,
is.
yeah.
Yeah.
And
The same with like Brokeback Mountain. Very like,
I have not seen it, but it is on my poster.
yo, you have to see it.
Yeah, it's on my poster. I'll watch it eventually.
Oh, please do.
Yeah, I just started crying again recently, so I'm like worried about how much I might cry because I sobbed at ET, and I feel like
Oh,
Brokeback Mountain might
I
make me cry.
also I totally get what you mean with I started crying again recently, because that
Yeah.
is a big move.
Mhm.
Say.
Yeah.
But
Um.
yeah, no, it's a
Yeah.
good one.
But yeah, I just great choice. Great choices. Because is this all of your films for this semester? Was Call Me by Your Name and different from the others?
I didn't really pick Call Me by Your Name. I was just handed
Oh
the
yeah.
review because they trusted me with it.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. But I have wanted to um show Call Me by Your Name because it's very good.
Yeah.
But the whole Army Hammer thing kind of didn't feel right. But anyway, um,
He was exonerated. It's okay.
oh, it's fine. You also think it's hot, so it's all good.
I do. God. Yeah.
But you know, I am really proud that I got different from the others on the
Yeah, that's
program.
amazing.
I'm so excited to see it on a big screen, and it's like it's not going to be the best film you will ever see. That's kind of not the point. The point is the history and being able to be like, hey,
Yeah.
look at this. I never heard about this before. Did you? Have you heard about this
Yeah,
film?
no.
This gay film from 1919. It's
It's amazing.
it's so important, and I'm very proud that the film club is showing it.
Yeah. So if you're listening, if you're listening, hello.
If you made
hello.
it all the way through.
Hello. Go see it. It's on September 10th. This episode is out the week off. I think it's on the Monday, and you can see it at Bergen Film Club this Sunday. It's like we're in the future.
It is. Also, if you hear this, comment gay on the Different from the Others Instagram post on
Oh my god, yeah.
Instagram, please. Just
Or
I want to see.
gay is slay.
Gay is slay.
Yes.
Gay is slay. Comment gay is slay on Bevko's Instagram post about this film. If you hear this,
I will just comment that every week.
you should.
Every time I repost it, gay is slay.
Yes.
Yeah. Also this week is on September 6th, on the Wednesday, is The Wolf House, which is a 2018 stop motion film. It's one of the 2 stop motion films that we're showing this semester, so that's exciting. Please be a volunteer if you would like. If you're living in Bergen and are of appropriate age and well-being, please come.
Well-being is debatable. We don't need. Yeah, no.
Yeah.
Come a cigar, literally signed by or covered by Evan Peters in season 4 of American Horror Story.
Oh yeah. Come as you are, slay.
Big slay.
Yeah. Oh, but thanks for being on the podcast again, Carolina. This is such a special film, and I'm glad that we got to be vulnerable and gay and queer on the podcast.
So nice.
Yeah.
After all the Bendik episodes, we need some.
Bendik is on in like 2 weeks, so don't worry.
Okay, great.
We can like equal it out. It's like an oscillator of good and bad.
Yeah, it's like super gay, slightly homophobic. That was a joke.
Yeah.
That was a joke.
Yeah. Okay.
Anyway.
Yeah. Well, I guess that's that. Thank you for listening. If you're still here, we have episodes out every Monday. You can follow us on Instagram at The Real Thing Pod. I deleted Twitter because I don't believe it in anymore.
X, you mean?
I'm not even going to say it. I don't believe it. So you please follow us on Instagram. Yeah. Hopefully going to have some reels on there. Wow, look at me doing social media.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah. Well, thank you again, Carolina.
Thank you.
Thanks, listener. Goodbye.
Bye.
This has been a Bergen Film Club production. Our music is by Wise John. Check them out on Instagram at WISEJohnOfficial. Our logo is by Pia Sofia Brentersen. This episode was produced, mixed and engineered by Joe Lawrence. Our researchers are Inke Shilbgaiben and Mamina Nazmajid. Want to talk to us about films? Then please send us an email at podcast@bergenfilmclub.com. Follow the show on Instagram and Twitter at TheRealThingPod. Check us out on Letterboxd at BFK The Real Thing. Thank you and goodbye. Listen, follow, leave us a review on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Amazon Podcasts, or wherever it is that you get your podcasts.